This has taken me hours, and I've changed my mind many times since I started putting this prediction together. The Championship is an extremely difficult league to predict, but I've given it a go. I don't think the Championship is as strong as it was last year. I feel that the 3 teams that went up are higher quality than the 3 who came down. Leeds were very good last season and unlucky not to go straight back to the Premier League, but with Leicester and Southampton out the way, I can't see anyone stopping them taking this title. They've brought in players such as Joe Rodon and Jayden Bogle, and if they can keep Somerville, they'll be unstoppable. Leeds will win the title. Second place is between Burnley and Luton for me. Burnley finished the Premier League season a lot stronger than they started it, but they'd given themselves far too much to do, and Luton, managed by Rob Edwards, fought for every point. It'll be close between those two. Neither have lost too many of their players. Burnley lost Vincent Kompany to Bayern, but they've replaced him with Scott Parker, who I think is a capable manager. Burnley will edge out Luton for the automatic place for me. Burnley second, while Luton Town third, but it could go either way. Where do I start with the rest of the playoff places? There's about 10 teams that are capable to sneak in, but I have to narrow it down to 3. I've changed my mind so many times about these next 3 teams that it isn't even funny. We have Sheffield United, who was simply awful last season, but Chris Wilder is there to stabilise them, though they'll start the season with a points deduction. It's only 2 points, so it won't be groundbreaking. Then we have Norwich. They made it to the playoffs last season and have appointed a new manager, so they might get off to a slow start, but they'll be strong either way. Michael Carrick turned Middlesbrough around last season, and with new signings such as Delano Bergzorg, they could be a force. West Brom are another team you can never rule out at this level. They've made a few decent signings as they look to improve on last year's playoff place. And what about Coventry? They had a disappointing season last season after losing the playoff final to Luton the year before, but they've made some decent signings, such as Jack Rudoni from Huddersfield. I'm going to back West Brom and put them 4th. Michael Carrick will guide Middlesbrough to 5th. It'll be very close between Coventry, Sheffield United and Norwich for 6th and the final playoff place. We're talking goal difference kind of close here, and I've put all 3 of them in there at one stage or another, but I just think Norwich tend to come good at this level. So Norwich City will get the final playoff place, 6th place. I think Sheffield United will make drastic improvements from last year. They have to, but they'll fall short. I'm putting them 7th, with Coventry just behind them in 8th. Feel free to come at me in the comments if you disagree. I want to know what you'd change about these predictions. If you're enjoying the video so far, please also consider subscribing to my channel. So if my predictions are correct, the playoffs would be Luton against Norwich and West Brom against Middlesbrough. I'd have to back Luton and Middlesbrough, and then it's Rob Edwards v Michael Carrick in the final at Wembley. That really could go either way, but I'll play it safe and say Luton win the playoffs again. So there you have it. Luton Town straight back up to the Premier League for next season. So the best of the rest? Well, actually, like I said, there's about 10 teams who could sneak into the playoffs, so I don't think these next 5 will be that far behind. This might come as a bit of a surprise, but I'm putting Queen's Park Rangers in there at 9th. Marti Cifuentes did a fantastic job of turning their season around last year and they finished strong. I wouldn't be surprised to see them not only sneak in but power through to the top half of the table. Would you be happy with that, QPR fans? At 10th, I've gone for another strong manager going into his first full season with his club. I'm talking about Neil Harris and Millwall. They've brought in some quality players such as Macaulay Langstaff from Notts County, who I think will get a lot of goals despite the huge step up. They, like QPR, finished last season very strong, and I think they'll do well again here. Millwall 10th. Sunderland were disappointing last season. They finished 16th, but they've brought in new manager Regis Lebris from French side Lorient. Sunderland are a massive club at this level, who I feel should be higher. Jack Clark will get them goals, and I think they'll improve on last year, but they'll be 11th. Sheffield Wednesday looked doomed after the first few months of last season, but ended up miraculously staying in this division. I think they'll push on from last season and end up in the top half. 12th. Heading up the bottom half, I've gone for Hull City. They narrowly missed the playoffs last season, but they've lost Allsop, Philogene and Liam Delap without really replacing them so far, so I'm putting them in 13th. The next 5 or 6 teams could go anywhere. I wouldn't be surprised to see any of them challenging for the playoffs or being pulled into the relegation fight. I think it's extremely unlikely that Bristol City will find themselves in a dogfight, but they've had a fairly quiet transfer window. They do have the goal threat of Nahki Wells though, so they'll be fine. 14th for Bristol City. In 15th, we've got the first of the promoted teams. I keep seeing predictions that have Portsmouth going straight back down, but I don't think they will. They've been absent from the top 2 tiers for 12 years, but come back fairly well equipped for the Championship. I can't see them breaking into the top half, but the goals of Colby Bishop will help them to 15th. Next, we've got the South Wales Derby. I don't think either of the Welsh teams will go down, and they're very similar in terms of quality. Cardiff were tipped for relegation by a few people last year, so produced a bit of a surprise by finishing 12th, while rival Swansea were just behind them in 14th. I've dropped them both down the table, but I think they'll be inseparable. Cardiff 16th, Swansea 17th, and 2 fierce derby matches to come. I've put Stoke City in 18th. A little bit too close to comfort towards the bottom of the table, but I can't see them going down. I can't see them troubling the top half though either, unless they bring in some strikers. Watford have brought in Moussa Sissoko from the French League, but there's apparently a lot of negativity at the club that Tom Cleverley will need to sort out. I think they're going to have a poor season, so I've put them 19th. Another team who seem to sit comfortably in the Championship every year is Preston. They've had a quiet transfer window, and although I can't see them actually going down, I think they'll finish very close to the danger zone this year. 20th for Preston. So 4 teams left to talk about, with 3 of them going down. 2 of these are newly promoted too, but who's staying up and who's going down to League One? This was the decision that probably took me the longest out of the whole division, so who do I send down? Oxford are massively tipped to go straight back down, and as much as I want to place them just above the relegation zone, I just don't see that many transfers that would back that decision. Derby are the other side who came up from League One. Will it be straight back down for them? Plenty of players in and out, but have they found the right players to keep them in this league? Plymouth have appointed Wayne Rooney, who in my opinion is the greatest English footballer of his generation, but I don't rate him as a manager. They have ex-Hereford Mustafa Bundu too, so I'd like them to stay up. Blackburn Rovers are the other relegation-threatened team. Keeping Sammy Smodics is a must for them. If he leaves or gets injured, they could be in a lot of trouble, and they only just survived last season. So, after a lot of back and forth, the team I'm keeping in the Championship is Derby County. Just. It'll likely go to the final day, but I think Derby are good enough to stay up in 21st. Unfortunately, you know what that means for everybody else, but here's the order that they'll finish in. I've put Blackburn 22nd with or without Smodics. I just don't feel they're strong enough to stay up unless they bring in some serious talent before the window closes, which they probably won't. I've put Plymouth 23rd. They're another side who narrowly stayed up on the final day of last season. I can't see Rooney doing any better with Plymouth than he did with Birmingham, so they'll go back down. And lastly, Oxford United are straight back down at the bottom, 24th. I said to someone on this channel last week that I think Oxford will stay up, but after further investigation, I just don't think their squad is strong enough. So that's my Championship prediction. Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. I've got my Premier League prediction coming over the next few days, so make sure you've got notifications on.